Now, I started off, I was doing some research on you, and I was trying to find out exactly what bass god meant. And I know you said that you got it from your bass freestyles that you used to do. So explain that whole process to what exactly is a bass god and where the whole concept comes from.
Man, so I started, I've been like freestyling my whole career, but I really started to, really bass freestyle heavy once I got my personal studio, and that was about a year or two ago, and or 3 years, and I freestyled about like 800 songs like out the studio, and throughout that time it was like I called them bass freestyles, and then it was like, man, I'm like, in rap terms, I'm like, what's the biggest thing, you could be like in rapping, or, like the biggest compliment you can give somebody, and, that's like to call somebody a god, or, you know what I mean, and stuff like that. So I'm like, I'm thinking in rap terms, I'm like, bass god, hip-hop god, you know what I mean, like putting in work and, just grinding like that, so yeah, it definitely came from those freestyles, my dudes, you feel me?
Right, but you got this new single out right now. I saw the video called Pretty Bitch. Why don't you explain to all of us what exactly being a pretty bitch is?
Man, what that is just like, man, the most extreme, way of just saying, man, I'm confident with myself, like, man, it's like pro men music, you know what I mean? Like, man, straight, for dudes, man, like, man, I'm that pretty bitch, you know what I mean? Like, man, I'm the top shit, like, man, I'm, the high maintenance one, like, you know what I mean, bitch, kiss my ass, you know what I mean?
Right.
So it's definitely it's like pro God music, you know what I mean? Like, straight to, feed the dudes' egos and shit, and, you know what I mean? Like, whoever else feels it, to the ladies too, because the ladies could definitely feel it, but, this is something that guys will really understand.
Okay. Now, I know you hooked up with Soulja Boy and you signed with SOD. Congratulations on that, first and foremost. Give us a little information on exactly how that happened and your future plans with working with Soulja Boy.
Right, man. So, with that, how we got up with Soulja Boy was, dope. I was going pretty hard on World Star, and dropping songs and stuff. It wasn't, it was way before I did, cause I think I made history on World Star too, the first artist ever to have 11 videos up there at one time, you know what I mean? But this was way before that, and, so, yeah, I was dropped a song called Respect My Mind on World Star, and, I think so just seen that, and he quoted one of my raps on Twitter, and, he hit me up, man, that's love, so I've been, supporter of Soulja no matter what, you know what I mean, and like, since he first came out, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like, since he first dropped Soul, like, that's what it is, like, I fuck with this shit, so, it was dope that he reached out, so, I was like, man, what it is, it's love, so, on the same, hype, let's get it then, so, we've been chopping it up ever since, and, it's been good, so, what we got coming out project-wise, we got the mixtape coming out, which, is all really, original tracks besides, a few, so it's kind of like a little album mixtape, you know what I mean?
Okay, and what's that mixtape called?
It's called PBM, Pretty Boy Millionaires. Look out for that in the distant future, we can drop that anytime, we just waiting for the right time of the weather.
Okay.
Drop and get like a few more songs together.
We got to talk about, obviously, the Look Like Jesus video, probably one of the most talked about controversial videos of this year. I just want to talk to you about it. Basically, what was your concept of the video? Like, why would you put that in a church? And then how do you feel about people, being upset with it because you're claiming to be God and you're using Jesus' name and references to getting sexual pleasures?
Right. Well, it's just because I'm just pushing so I wanted people to, and the rappers to really see, and the hip hop artists to really see I'm nothing like them, and you know what I mean. I'm definitely trying to, and just musical, any artist in general, I want them to see I will say what I want to say, to the extreme, and I do the extreme sometimes, so there's some things to really I'm trying to emphasize on how I truly feel, like what's the most I could say, so you could really understand the truth of how I feel. Not to say that I feel like I'm God or anything like that, but music wise, I do feel that I'm at a prophet status, at a godly status. You know what I mean? Music wise, even if I haven't sold any records or whatever, just the music and the input from the people and the love of the music. I've already accomplished. Like personally, I feel great right now. Just being true to myself with the music and just putting out everything that I want and I feel. And so definitely with that. And thank you about saying that's one of the most controversial videos of the year. It's definitely what we was aiming for and what I was aiming for. Directing that video. And it's definitely I just definitely wanted my point across. And just that's what it was. I wanted my point across, and I wanted to be a little what is it? A little bratty attention whore. You know what I mean? A little attention asshole.